All right. Welcome, everyone, to episode 11 of the Fanatics, a College Football Central show. We got quite the crew today. We got a first timer on, and we got a mix of veterans as well. We got a great show ahead. Lots to talk about. Let's get right to it. My name is Kyle Comas, and joining me, we have the host of the Play Me or Fade Me podcast. We have Mr. Action Junkie. We have the Milwaukee living man, the Wisconsin man himself. We got Mr. VFC. And joining for his first appearance on the show, you guys will recognize him though if you've watched the show before. We got my cousin and co-host of Gambling Feud. We got Mr. DJ Luch. Fellas, how we doing today? We're on the week 10 now of college football. How we doing?
Pretty dang good, Kyle. It feels like, I know this was talked about last week, but it feels like playoff rankings should be coming out today. They are not next week. Everybody else will probably be watching the news. I'll probably be tuned into ESPN. So yeah, excited about that. But yeah, it's been a fun season so far.
Yeah.
I'm just confused right now. Why is VFC? Is that an Iowa hat that you're wearing?
It is.
On the week we play Wisconsin. I thought you were kind of a Wisconsin guy a little bit.
I'm a
Or
Big
is that
Ten
more
guy.
basketball?
I'm a Big Ten guy through and through, but Iowa is my second Big Ten team. It's the truth.
Okay. Okay. Well, then my apologies. I'm way off. I will say college football this season's been rough for me, mostly because I haven't I haven't put in the work. That's on me. But last week I was on a bender just shooting from the hip, and whoo-wee, your boy was hot. I knew Texas A&M was going to win. Notre Dame minus 14 to start the day. Easy lock. Double it up on Texas A&M. Doubled it up on Texas Tech +5. You're going to offer me Texas Tech +5? And I don't know nothing about these schools. I just I knew the vibes. And so I'm surely going to do significantly worse after last week, but basically doubled my account last week. And I felt like a champ on Sunday. We'll just say that.
Hey, can't complain about that. I tell you what. Action, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to get two markers out now to write down all of his plays today. I'm excited for this.
Okay. I like that.
I was gonna say he's buttering you up there, DJ.
Yeah, the one thing I would love to do, Kyle, is I have got almost everything wrong this college football season, but I would like to go back to hot takes, and I really think the hot takes are lining up for me.
I think you might be the only one. I think everyone else's hot takes aren't doing too hot, but
well, but also the comment I made about Corey's comment about Deion Sanders, I do think he will be the next coach of the Cowboys right now. We got to give that guy some props.
Oh, yeah.
Deion's coaching it up.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You think he's going to jump to the Cowboys?
Yes, I honestly do.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know enough about the coaching scene, but that would be crazy.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think at some point we'll have to revisit those hot takes, but otherwise, before we get started though, so I think we got to just address something here. So we had some Coda Cappers. Their teams went at it last week. We had VFC's Ohio State Buckeyes took on Corey's Nebraska Cornhuskers. VFC's team ended up being supreme. Ohio State ended up winning, but he said some things were said, and he wanted to address them on the show. He wished Corey was here, but Corey had some oblos and couldn't make it. But VFC, you said you had some comments, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska did put up a fight. Props to them. I mean, the whole game I was trying to do the not worried, dismissing Corey, not worried. But no, they did. We couldn't stop them at all. They looked great. But one thing Corey just kept coming back to time and time again was the refs. And Corey did a victory lap in the group chat yesterday saying, oh, the Big Ten came out and said the refs were so wrong for Nebraska. Yes, this weekend, yada, yada, yada. Well, I went and read the Big Ten statement, and the only play they called out as remotely wrong was the spot at the end of the first half, which would have given Nebraska a first down. Still on like Ohio State's 40-yard line with 50 seconds left. Nebraska came away from that drive with 3 points. I'll be honest, I don't think they're doing much better. Your ceiling is a touchdown. Your floor is a pick six. Either way, congrats. But what I do want to call out is Corey was saying Nebraska this, Nebraska that. The refs actually, I believe, made one of the worst calls of the game on Nebraska's final drive when they threw that targeting penalty. And I'm pretty sure PG was like, oh, that's so targeting. You think that's not targeting. Corey, same thing. Well, that linebacker suspension for the first half of the Penn State game was actually uplifted today or yesterday, one of the two, because of the fact that it was so clearly not targeting. So yeah, Corey, I do think the refs weren't great, but I think they were bad for both sides. So I think for Nebraska fans to go out and dox the COO of the Big Ten and give away his address and phone number because they're mad over one call is weird behavior. And I think that's the most typical thing I've ever heard for that fan base. And I think it's incredibly weird. And I think there were bad calls on both sides. So that's all I got to say about that. It was a great game. Nebraska did put up a great fight, but to blame it on the refs is absolutely asinine. That's all I have to say.
I think that's well said. Don't really have much more to say about that. I will say about the targeting call, and VFC can attest for it. I actually texted him. I said, I don't want to put this in the group chat because I've been told that I'm a homer whenever I root against Nebraska in the group chat. So I texted VFC on the side. I said, dude, that is not targeting. And turns out we both are right.
Yep. So again, bad refs, both sides. It's Big Ten refs. More importantly, it's college football refs. It's a very hard job. Calls are missed, but it is what it is.
One thing I will say about that game is, unfortunately, it was the second straight week we had fans throwing stuff on the field after a call they don't like. We have to stop that. I mean, if this becomes a trend in college football, the precedent set at Texas was terrible, and to see it continuing the week after is another bad sign, and I really hope the brakes get put on that. Totally
agreed. They got to start finding these kids on cameras or something, making examples out of kids. I mean, just banning them from the games for the rest of college, because it just can't happen. And again, Texas fans started it. Ohio State fans followed suit. It's not a good look, no matter who it is. But yeah, you're right. That's a great point.
Did Sarkisian come out and say anything about that?
He didn't, but McConaughey did as the director of like student development or something like that.
Yeah, because I know he ran onto the field and was like yelling at them all. Like he clearly in the game he made a comment of yelling at them all. But I feel like that's got to come to the head coaches too. Got to be like, guys, we can't do this. It's like storming the field. Sometimes teams do this now where they storm the field. Like when Vandy beat Alabama 110%, 100 billion% storm the field. That makes sense. But when teams are beating some teams that is not, like Colorado had that one where they stormed the field. It's like, bro, come on. That's not as bad because you're not throwing things, you're not delaying the game, but it's like that's kind of embarrassing. But yeah, the head coaches need to be like, yo, you guys can't do this. Like this looks bad on us. Like, I don't care how bad the call is, we'll take care of it on the field or something. Because it's just, I mean, who would do that and why?
It's weird.
Well, they flipped the call in the Texas game, so I mean, you basically supported the behavior. You gave them an extra 5 minutes to switch the call, and they got rewarded. And in turn, the home team should be penalized and get a penalty for that type of situation. And that's something they're going to have to address.
Like a delay a game almost. Only
it has to be something.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. Delay a game.
The problem is like Action said it too. The Texas fans threw the stuff on the field and got the call reversed. The college football referees just set a precedent now that fans can do that and think that's okay. And you're absolutely right, Action. They got to find a way to make that stop, because that's going to get dangerous all of a sudden. You start throwing, like, I don't remember what it was at the Texas game, but like you start throwing like beer cans or like even full ones at that starts getting really, really dangerous all of a sudden. So you're absolutely right. We set a precedent, and it's just not a good one.
Well, I know my group at the Gopher game in front of me. I mean, they all had the bottles that they were able to get into their snow clothes, because keep in mind, when we get to November, we're wearing snowmobile suits to these football games, so we can get a lot of alcohol in there with glass. So you start throwing that in November, you could get really interesting. That'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not fun.
I was gonna say, do they check, like, I know at like Hawkeye games, whenever like if you have a jacket on, you have to unzip your jacket and go like that. Do you do that? They do that at like Minnesota games. They make you do that or not?
Well, I mean, they would do like the little bit of a pat. With a coat, you would do that, but I mean, the snowmobile suit, I mean, you're not getting into my legs. That's the key. Okay. So I mean, you put all the alcohol on the legs is what you do.
Fair.
I mean, you got the long johns. It's easy. I mean, yeah. So I mean, yeah, you don't have it in the upper portion. You have it in the legs, and there's plenty of bottles that get into a game because I wasn't not a drinker at the games, but I would be walking in with 6 bottles on my legs for each game.
I don't know if I'd want an ice cold beer pressed up on my inner thigh is my thing. Maybe that's
I think most of the time it was like Captain Morgan, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's about the rush of smuggling it in. You don't even really want to drink it. It's just about doing it. You got it in. It's like I'm not paying for nothing. It's
so I mean, part of the defense I had for everyone is at that point the Gophers were losing like 52-3 to Ohio State. So without that, there was no way people were staying for the misery. So at least it helped ease the pain. That's all.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I think that was a good start to the show. Let's get started as always with the trivia question for you. I'll do our ad read and then we'll get into last week. So just a basic trivia question. I've been doing historical stuff on the show. I'm just going to talk about this season. It's just a simple basic question. What college football team is leading the country in points per game? Easy as that. What college football team is leading the country in points per game? So I will give you time to think about it really quick while I do our ad read. The Fanatics College Football Betting Podcast is sponsored by Better Edge. Better Edge is a social betting marketplace that is legal in 45 states and operates like a marketplace. If you're wondering how that works, let's use the Ohio State-Penn State game, for example. One person on the platform likes Ohio State money line, and they place $10 on that line. Another person on the platform likes Penn State money line, and they place $10 on that line. Boom, you now got an exchange because it's person to person and not person to sportsbook. That's what makes it legal in 45 different states. So a lot of times in sportsbooks, if you have spreads and over-unders, they might be pretty heavily juiced to one side. At Better Edge, it's always minus 100, plus 100. You get a much higher payback for the users. They also have several different competitions such as Battle Royale, Survivor, Chaser, a lot of things to keep things competitive for the users. And it also incorporates social media. So people can go on the platform, post their picks, their timeline for people to see, and their followers can fade them to create an order or play them and make their own order and hope that someone goes on the other side. But we love Better Edge here at the network. Go to the website, www.betteredge.com. Use promo code Kyle, Corey, Pace, Play Me. Any of those promo codes, you get $20 added to your account. Again, www.betteredge.com. So, gentlemen, again, simple, basic question. What college football team leads the country in points per game? We'll see how you guys do. But Action, we'll start with you. Who do you think it is?
I'm going to go Jacksonville State just based on the last 4 weeks. That's just going to be my guess.
Okay, sounds good. VFC, who do you think it is?
Between a couple teams here, just thinking maybe like Miami. I know James Madison had that massive game against North Carolina. South Alabama put up that 87-point game or whatever. I'll go South Alabama. That's where my gut went first, so I'll go with them.
Okay, sounds good. And DJ, who do you think it is?
I was also thinking potentially Miami. I know Oregon had like one bad game to start the year, but I feel like since then they've been putting up points. It's going to be one of those non-Power 5 schools. But my gut originally was Miami, so we'll go Miami.
Okay, sounds good. So this particular school is averaging 45.4 points per game, and one of you is correct, and it is Miami.
Let's go.
Heisman guy.
Yeah.
He's still got a conference championship to play. We'll
and
see.
Action, Jacksonville State is 8th in college football at 39.7 points per game. And South Alabama, let's just take a look here.
Not even close. Probably a terrible guess, but we'll see.
A big
45th
scroll.
at 29.
Yeesh.
But out of 134, though, so that's still in the top tier of college football.
Do you know where James Madison's at? Do you have
And Oregon.
And Indiana.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was going to be my second guess.
Indiana's third.
Great guess.
Good guess.
At 42.1. James Madison's 11th at 38.1.
He's still not top 10.
Oregon is 16th at 35.6.
Doesn't matter. I got it right. Yep. 1 for 1. I can never come back.
I mentioned Miami, so that's all good. I'm counting it. 0.33.
I'll give you the assist. You were Rondo. I'm KG. I'll take it.
That's good with me.
We'll go hockey. So like DJ got the goal, but VFC got the assist.
I got the pass to assist.
Yeah, I'm Connor McDavid. I agree.
All right, gents, sound good. Well, hey, before we dive in and do our snake draft, let's just really quick talk about week 9. A lot of great games happen in week 9. Anything really stand out to you guys? I want to start because I want to start with one of the first days of college football. And I just want to reflect on this just for a moment. When me and DJ did a college football preview show on Gambling Feud, I think, sadly, that was probably our last episode we did, but irregardless, we did a college football preview show, and we talked about Conference USA, and we talked a little bit about each of those teams, and I think we all, probably on this panel, instinctively agreed that Kennesaw State was going to be at the bottom of Conference USA, just because they're transitioning to FCS. They lost a lot of starters. Kennesaw State not only covered against Liberty, who's supposed to be head and shoulders away from everyone in the conference, they beat Liberty as a 25.8 or 25.5, point underdog. I was on Liberty minus the 25.5. So you got to imagine how shitty I felt after seeing them lose outright. But yeah, that was crazy. Kennesaw State, that was their first FBS win ever. So congratulations to them on that. But yeah, I can't believe it. They were supposed to be the bottom of the conference, and they beat the team that was supposed to be head and shoulders above everybody else in Conference USA.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I was at a movie and I came out and I walked out of the theater and looked at my phone and was like, there's no way. There's actually no way. Yeah, insane.
I didn't catch that game. I was watching some of the bigger ones. I'm more of a big market guy. I don't really care for the little market teams.
DJ's not a Group of 5 guy by any means.
No, I hate the Group of 5. It started with UCF a long time ago.
Besides the Sun Belt, you are a Sun Belt guy.
I love the Fun Belt. I'm a big Fun Belt guy. That's true. I
mean, you'll always tune into the Celebration Bowl, so there's that as well.
Exactly. See, you get it.
What you guys don't know is me and DJ every Christmas Eve, him and I are always tuned in on the couch watching the Hawaii Bowl.
Yep.
Every single Christmas Eve.
Every Christmas Eve, they got it on. It's the only game on ever.
Yeah, for sure. DJ, anything really stand out to you last week in college football?
Content-wise, I feel like that LSU Texas A&M game was insane. Like, I was riding Texas A&M money line thinking I was the dumbest boy in school. Because it seemed like the obvious play was LSU. It seemed the way the money was going and the way the line was moving. But then I was like, well, I feel like the line moved to set up Texas A&M. That's why I was on Texas A&M. Nonetheless, felt like an idiot most of the game. And then to watch them just rainstorm them in the second half. I mean, they just destroyed them. That game I felt like content-wise was one of the better ones. I mean, obviously Nebraska, Ohio State wasn't pretty, but it was like a good game, I guess you could say. But yeah, that Texas A&M, the SEC, man, Texas A&M is doing way better than anyone anticipated, I think. And it's tough to know what that conference is going to do, especially this season with everyone kind of having one loss other than Texas A&M, who's undefeated in conference.
Yeah, I think if you would have asked anybody on this panel before the season started if Texas A&M would be the last unbeaten in the SEC, I don't think anybody would have thought that.
I agree.
I know Jimbo Fisher wouldn't have.
No. Yeah, I bet he feels like an ass at this point. But yeah, Action, what about you? What really stood out to you last week?
I just need to make some apologies here. BYU, Indiana, Colorado, I absolutely have disrespected this year. When I watched Colorado against Cincinnati, I sat there and I watched that football game. It's like I watched the highlight of their offensive line. They were terrible against Nebraska. This is a completely different football team. And now I think the latest Heisman odds have is Travis Hunter is the odds-on favorite. And BYU's better than I thought. Indiana's clearly better than I thought. Colorado's better than I thought. So as I watch these games each week, I realize how little I know.
Yeah, I think Indiana surprised a lot of people being undefeated. Very good chance at this point to make the Big Ten championship too.
Well, I mean, they even had a backup quarterback this week, right? Against Washington, who was in the national championship game last year. So, I mean, it like a lot of things lined up. That's why I was playing Washington, of course. And it's like Indiana's defying all logic of look-aheads and letdowns and blah, blah, blah. It's like they're just a machine.
They have a very good chance to come into Columbus 10-0. Very good chance.
Unbelievable.
And we'll see from there. But yeah, I mean, the good thing about Indiana being so good is that if OSU were to lose to Penn State this weekend and then beat Indiana, I think that's a quality enough win to put Ohio State in as the 8 through 12 seed, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So we'll see, but
I'd be curious to see if they put in a 2-loss Ohio State over like a 1-loss other conference team, though. But you could be right.
Almost definitely, I think, especially if it's a 1-point loss at Oregon and a very close loss at Penn State. Very good chance. Yeah, I don't know. I almost guarantee they
Well,
would.
we could have that scenario play out with Indiana, even, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, absolutely. And VFC, what about you? Anything really stand out to you last week?
Just a few headlines I'm going to read here. Notre Dame, I think, has a very, very clear path to the playoff at this point. I think people have almost forgotten about the Northern Illinois loss, and that win over Texas A&M is aging like fine wine. I called Ashton Genty a lock for Heisman on this show, I don't know, 3 weeks ago now. I would double down on that after their win over UNLV. I think they're going to go to the playoffs, and I think those quarterbacks are going to slip up at some point, and he's the guy. Congrats, Pace. Colorado as well. I owe everyone an apology there. They look fantastic. And then Drew Aller. I said that he was not that good, maybe overrated going into the season. He goes out at halftime. They're losing to Wisconsin. The backup comes in, looks so much better than Drew Aller. So I'm going to call that take a win. And that is my last point from this week.
Oh man, yeah, I love it. And the funny thing is, just going back to your Ashton Genty thing or take two, he had 128 yards, and people are like, "Oh my god, he played terrible." He had 128 yards.
He went from the favorite to win the Heisman, or like very close with Gabriel, to like fourth now behind Ward, Hunter, and Gabriel. And I'm like, just trust me when we look back at the numbers at the end of the season. If Gabriel and Ward slip up, which I think they will at some point, even if it's in the conference championships, I think we just got to hand it to him. I think he's more deserving than Hunter. So we'll see. Especially if they make the playoffs.
I'll say Action disagrees. What are your thoughts?
Carried his team to the playoffs.
What did he run for against UNLV? Like 2 yards a carry or 3?
Was it like
3.8?
3.9
almost
or something.
4, yeah.
Really impressive against that UNLV defense. Yeah, I mean, UNLV, who I've seen give up plenty of points to several teams. So
it was a big game for them.
Yeah.
All right.
It is Hunter or a quarterback at this point.
All right.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to revisit this. I think after the Heisman ceremony, we'll have to make sure you two are on so we can discuss. But all right, gents, hey, that was good stuff. Let's dive into week 10 now. So we got 4 guys in the panel. We are going to do our week 10 betting snake draft. If you haven't watched the show before or know how this works, again, we got 4 people. It's going to be a 5-round snake draft. So we're going to give you 20 picks. Everybody on the panel must choose a full game spread, a full game over under, a money line, a full game team total, and a half play, first half or second half, and it can be any sort of play. The higher you take it, the more units it's worth. So round 1 is worth 5, round 2 is worth 4, round 3 is worth 3, round 4 is worth 2, round 5 is worth 1. Going through the order really quick. DJ, as the guest, somehow got his way for a number 1 pick, followed by myself, VFC, and Action. Action will then have back-to-back, and it'll snake draft back to DJ, and we'll just keep going until everybody has their teams, and we have a full team. So, gentlemen, if we're ready, let's get right to it. DJ, you have the number 1 overall pick. Where are you going?
Yeah, this is tough. I don't really do team totals or first half plays. That's not really my thing. I really do over-unders, spreads, money lines. So I kind of want to avoid those because I'm just not good at it. I'm going to go with Georgia minus 16.5 at home against Florida. The line opened up at like 20.5 and then it dropped to 16.5. I think the freshman 5-star Florida quarterback's going to play his first game or going to step in to play is what I've heard. That's a tough environment at Georgia. They beat Texas by 15 and 10 back through 3 picks that game. So I don't know. This Georgia team seems kind of resilient, and I think Florida's, far from where they have been. And it's still kind of a rivalry. I still think that game means something to those people. So I think Georgia will show out. I think 16.5 is easy to cover. I think it's going to be kind of a one-sided affair. Georgia will take care of business, and Florida's going to continue to struggle.
Okay. Sounds good. I like it. And you said Mertz is not playing in this game. They're starting their backup.
From what I heard,
Ertz is done for the season, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. From what I heard, that Langway, I believe.
Yeah, DJ Langway.
5-star. Yeah. I heard he's supposed to be getting his first start, or I don't know. I think he's played before because they got blown out a couple of times, but I know he's supposed to play. I know he's talented for sure. But man, that's a tough game to play at Georgia as a freshman on a bad team. I just don't see it going well. I think Langway could be really, really talented in the long run. But for a first start, I don't think he's covering 16.5.
Yeah, I like it. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, we're going to go to me now. And I want to preface before my pick that I promise you there's like a 0% chance I watch this game. There's just absolutely no shot I'll watch this game. But the total just doesn't make sense to me. Both these teams stink. I'm going to go Northwestern Purdue under 47. Like I said, these are two of the worst offenses in college football. Northwestern's averaging only 16.6 points per game, and Purdue's averaging only 15.5 points per game. And these two teams, they're not great defensively, but they're going to look great defensively against both these teams. You got Hudson Card going up against Ryan Helinski, and it just is not going to be good. It's going to be bad football. I can see like a 7-3 final. It's just going to be bad. So I'm going to take Northwestern Purdue under 47.
I like that a lot. I was eyeing that up as well.
All righty. Sounds good. Then we'll go right down the line then to VFC.
Yep, we're rolling with just tale as old as time here, and we're taking Vanderbilt plus 6.5. Auburn had a huge win last week against Kentucky. They looked really good, honestly, in the second half of that game, especially. But Diego Pavia owns Hugh Freeze. He's 2-0 against him. He owns the state of Alabama. He's 1-0 against Auburn, 1-0 against Alabama. The dude is a beast. I just think, I don't know. I think Auburn has gotten really unlucky this year. They should be much better than their record shows, but I just think Vandy is actually a good team, and I feel like they haven't been getting that respect from the books, but they played a tight game with Texas last week, and I feel like they're really good. So I think 6.5 is too many points. I don't even necessarily think they should be the underdog in this matchup. So give me Vandy plus 6.5. I would buy it to 7.5 if you feel like it, but for this 6.5.
Never bet against Diego Pisson Pavia. You never bet against him. No, I like it. I think that's a good play. And yeah, Auburn just had their Super Bowl last week, so I think they're gonna be on a down. So I like it. Okay, sounds good. Action looks like you got back-to-back here, so we'll start with your first round play.
Yeah, you talked about this game as one of the ones that stood out to you last week. I'm going to go Liberty minus the 2 against Jacksonville State. Flames head coach Jamie Chadwell said after last week, maybe we're just not that good. After Liberty, of course, lost as the heavy favorite against Kennesaw State, a team we all love as maybe one of the worst teams in college football. So you talk about the ultimate wake-up call here. We got it. They got the message, and this is a showdown game against Jacksonville State. We know Rich Rod's team is undefeated this year in Conference USA. The Flames have been off to slow starts all year. I think they changed that in this game. I think they get off to the good start. So, yes, give me Liberty minus the 2 as play number 1. Flip it around. Just give me Liberty money line at the minus 125.
Yeah.
I like it.
Good. Doubling down.
All in on Liberty. Yeah.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, spoiler.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, I think that could very well work out, especially just like I mentioned before, after they lost to Kennesaw State. I think they're going to come out firing this week. So, all right. Sounds good. We will go back to VFC then with his second round play.
Yep, I'm going to take Navy team total over 31.5 against Rice. It's plus 105, which I think I get it. It's slightly above kind of a football number, but I don't think it matters. Rice is giving up 25 points per game to much lesser opponents this year. Navy's real PO'd after that Notre Dame loss last week, and I think they just come in and hang 40 on Rice. So give me Navy team total over 31.5.
I love it. Yep, I like that play. And we didn't even talk about that game too. We talked about the preview or the recap of last week. There's some times where like maybe a team has a shot, maybe a team has a chance to win. There was never a moment that entire 60 minutes that Navy looked like they were going to win the game. Yeah, not even a second.
That was a beatdown.
Yeah. So no, I like it. Okay, we'll go to me now. Let me write down my play here, and then I'll talk about it. I am going to go to my first half play, and I've been doing this play a lot too. Not quite on the level where I'm going to bet it every week like Kent State, but it's pretty darn close. I'm going to take Boise State first half minus 13.5 against San Diego State. I can get that at a minus 112. One thing that Boise State does, and they do really, really well, is they start out games really, really strong. They come out of the gate and they just feed Ashton Jeanty, and and we talked about it already. Action mentioned that was his probably worst performance last week. San Diego State is one of the worst teams in the country in terms of rushing yards allowed. They're allowing 175.7 rushing yards per game. So I think Jeanty's just going to run all over them to start. I think they get an early lead here, and I think they can lead by 2 touchdowns going into halftime. So I'm going to take Boise State first half minus 13.5 at a minus 112.
Love that play.
Yeah, as much as I don't think he wins the Heisman, that's how they're going to feed him even more. And they're going to have to take an advantage of a game like this, and he could put up like video game numbers for like 280.
That's what we need.
Yeah, that's right. That's
yeah. I mean, that'll help you.
All right, sounds good. DJ, you got back-to-back here. We'll start with your second round play.
I am gonna go with Nebraska over 10.5 in the first half for my first play. They just got embarrassed not embarrassed. They just played a dogfight last week. This UCLA defense is going to look a little different than the defense they faced last week. I think things are going to be a lot more open, and it's kind of like a get right spot for them. You know, they've had a couple tough matches, obviously with Illinois, and then again with Ohio State. So I think this is kind of a get right spot. 10.5. I think they can put up 2 touchdowns easily on this UCLA defense. I think they can jump them early. I feel like it's way too low. Minus 110 on the payout there. Yeah, it seems like an easy get right spot. And it's home. It'd be different if it was at UCLA, but it's home. UCLA is going to travel. I think it's going to be kind of a bloodbath at least. I don't know if the spread's kind of low. Seems kind of suspiciously low. So it kind of scares me a little bit, but I think Nebraska can still put up points. So I'll use that one as my first one.
Like it.
Mm-hmm.
For my second one, we will go with Arizona UCF over 56. Both these schools have been, more defense or more offense than defense, just historically in this last season. And so I don't know. I like overs, especially UCF overs. Seems like they hit a lot. They've been nice on the over this season. Zona as well doesn't play much defense and has been nice on the over. A couple other ones I liked. I felt like they were too low. And I don't know, something seemed off about them. Whereas this one, there's enough of maybe a skill gap between them and some other teams that maybe it kind of seems right. So yeah, we'll go Arizona UCF over 56 minus 110.
Yeah, I love that. I was if my Northwestern Purdue play would have got taken, that's the play I would have gone. So, yep, I like it. Now, my heart sank a little bit when you said the Nebraska play because my play is going to be Nebraska minus 6.5 for the full game. Things just haven't been very good going in the direction for the Huskers. But this is the game they're going to turn around. UCLA stinks. They're one of the worst teams in the Big Ten, and Nebraska has that hunger. If they win this game, they are bowl eligible. So they're going to be ready to go, and I think that they're going to have a beat down on them. I think they win by a touchdown. So I like your play, DJ, because I like Nebraska in this one. So I'm going to take them on the full game -6.5.
And that would be like the first time they've been bowl eligible since like 97, right?
Since I was in college the last time they were bowl eligible, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Kyle, I love this play. I wrote this down too. But the one thing I will say about UCLA is they are bad. They don't win many games at all, but they're kind of like Auburn. I'm talking about them earlier in the sense of they're really hard to blow out. Minnesota could barely like blow them out. It seemed like even the games they were supposed to get blown out, LSU, Oregon, Penn State, they didn't get blown out. Luckily, 6.5 points is not blowing a team out. And this one at Nebraska, it's going to be like 60 degrees in Lincoln. I love this play. I agree, DJ, suspiciously low line, but I think this could be a what do we call it? Double rat reverse fake trap line. So I like this a lot.
Yeah, that was because I had that written down as one of mine as well. That was actually my only other spread. I only had 2 spread plays because I knew I'd be able to get one of them. I guess I hoped I would be able to get one of them. But the reason why I went with Georgia is because, this Nebraska one just seems like it could be a rat line. Whenever it's 6.5, it's like if it was 7, I'd be like, oh, for sure, Nebraska. But when it's 6.5, you're like, something's off here.
Right.
But I do think you're right. I do think UCLA is kind of got that like gritty Baylor-ness where they're just going to play with anybody. Even if they're not good, they just kind of can play with everybody. But especially with Nebraska being home, this could be like the easiest bet of all time, like Notre Dame last week, or it could be a rat one. But I do like it. I do think it's a great play. But typically, whenever I think that, things don't seem to pan out on the field as I always envisioned. So,
hey, you were killing it last week. So having your endorsement, I'll take advantage of that. And VFC, just going to your point about UCLA, all I got to say about them is Ethan Garbers needs to feel lucky that he's in a conference with Hudson Card and Ryan Helinski, because if he wasn't, he might be the worst quarterback in the Big Ten. He stinks. So
people forget about Ethan McManus, though. They really do.
VFC never forgets.
Never forgive that guy.
Yep, VFC in action. Never forget about Ethan McManus. All right, VFC, your third round play.
I will be taking Duke first half, plus 11.5. It's -110. Look, I get it. They came off a very emotional game last week, very tough loss to SMU. Miami blew out Florida State. But I do have a little stat for you guys. The last time that Miami was winning a game by more than 10 at halftime, September 14th, home against Ball State. That means they weren't ahead by more than 10 against Florida State, Louisville, Cal, Virginia Tech, or South Florida. All games that they, mostly games that they ended up handling pretty easily. But at half, I don't know. It just seems like Miami comes out, bit of slow starters, and then they pull away. So we just need Duke to keep it within 12, and I think we'll be okay here. So I like Duke to cover this game. Miami just seems to get sketchy when they don't need to. So we'll take the first half play.
Especially with Manny Diaz just being like a big defensive juggernaut too. I think that they're going to keep Miami really close. So, nope, I like it. I might tail that whenever Saturday comes around. So,
you do.
Yep, I think I will. All right, action. Looks like you got back-to-back here. We'll start with your third round play.
In a shocking development, I'm going to take Liberty first half minus the half a point at a -112. And then in a equally shocking development with my fourth round selection here, I'm going to take the Liberty team total over 34.5 at a +110. I am actually moving that number up. That's how confident I am in the Flames having their offensive explosion in this game. So yes, I'll take the +110 there on Liberty.
This is awesome.
This is South Alabama. I'm having such a bad year. I had one really good show last year, and that's when I went all in on South Alabama. So I'm just trying to duplicate it.
Boy, it
Yeah,
really would
he'd be
be a shame
sharp.
if somebody took the Liberty and Jacksonville State over. That really would be a shame if someone did that.
I don't see that happening with this crew. I think I'm home free.
No. Actually, if you can believe it, DJ actually showed me his notes before the show started. He had that written down. So
Okay.
we'll see if he decides to go with it.
Okay.
It'd be tough because I already took a total, but
Yeah,
I might
never
take
know.
my wild
total.
card.
Never know.
You get one wild card per show. I might use it. Who knows?
Yep. There you go. All right, sounds good. Action going all in on Liberty. VSC will go to you with your 4th round play.
Sweet. I am taking Syracuse on the money line, plus 160. They play Action's Virginia Tech Hokies this week. I mean, Syracuse looked really, really, really bad last week. McCord threw 5 picks, 3 pick sixes in the first half. Just awful. They bounce back from that here, I think. I think they have the offense to do it. I really think as long as they're not turning the ball over, they can beat just about anybody in the ACC, just about anybody. So I think they're going to beat Virginia Tech at home here. Plus 160 is my 2-unit play.
Okay.
I actually like that side. I have money on Virginia Tech, so I desperately want to win that game, but it just sets up, like you said, McCord's going to have a bounce back effort.
He really can't do much worse than
last. Well, yeah, good point. I mean, I shared the fun facts of the stats of that game where I'm like, hey, my team had 10 more first downs. My team had 41 minutes of time of possession, and my team had like 100-something more total yards, and I lose the game by 40 points. So yeah, that was just crazy.
Well, and if you guys listen to Play Me or Fade Me, more often than not, if Action and I are on the same side, we're usually pretty good. We have a pretty good record when we're on the same side. Action, we were not very good on that Syracuse play. We were not very good.
Well, I mean, I don't know what Pittsburgh did after the game. Did they go into the Syracuse locker room and give the game ball to McCord or no?
They probably. I mean,
they should have, because that's the only MVP of that game.
Yeah. So, nope. I like it. VFC. I see a big bounce back, so I like it. Over to me now. I'm going to go to my money line, and I'm going to take USC on the money line against Washington at a minus 135. Washington's proven time and time again this season they just cannot compete and be good against the big teams. They've shown that. They got absolutely mollywopped by Iowa this year, and they got really destroyed by other teams as well. And USC, they need a big win here. If they want to turn the direction of the season around, focus on bowl eligibility, getting into a good bowl, they need to have a big win here. And I think they're going to go to Husky Stadium, and they're going to try to focus on getting the bowl eligibility. I think they win pretty handily here, but I'll just take them straight up. I'll take USC on the money line at a minus 135.
I like that.
Yep, I agree. I thought about that one as well.
Perfect. All right, DJ, you got back to back. Looks like you need a money line and a regular team total.
Yep, that is correct, Kyle. So yeah, we'll start with the regular team total. I was debating on Miami or Clemson here. You guys definitely talked me out of Miami. So shout out the boys, good job. I'm gonna go Clemson over 38.5 plus 105. Louisville historically and has always been known for a really good offensive team, and they like to get in shootouts. Clemson, I don't know if it's Klubnik or Klubnik. I don't know how to say it. Klubnik.
Yep.
Yeah, Klubnik would sound cooler, but I'll tell him that later. But he's really found a groove for this Clemson team. You know, since Trevor Lawrence, they've been trying to find a guy who can play, and they just haven't. I mean, they tried DJU. We've seen DJU struggle everywhere. I guess he was okay at Oregon State. I think they were decent with him.
Okay, yeah.
They made a bowl or something, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, he's trash. They finally got rid of him. They got this Klubnik cat in there. They've really found a groove. You know, they've been lighting it up. I think them versus Miami is going to be an amazing game whenever they play. Do they play regular season? Or is it – does anyone know?
I don't
I don't
think so.
know.
Okay, well, if they play in the conference championship, that'll be amazing. If they play in the regular season, I think it'll be a phenomenal game as well. But I'm
Good
going to
money.
go Clemson over 38.5 here, plus 105. I think they can put up 42 plus easily. I think it's going to be a shootout, or it's just going to be a domination, if Louisville's not as legit as people think. But I definitely don't think Louisville's defense is going to be the answer to stopping this Clemson offense that has been way better than they have the past 5 years. And then for my money line play, we're going to get spicy. We're going to go UTSA plus 230 against Memphis. Don't really know much about this, but I know this Memphis team isn't the fun Memphis team we've seen in the past. They're not as good as expected, and they've kind of, struggled a little bit this year. UTSA is kind of, came out the gutter. They got into the, D1 FBS. And since then, they've kind of really found a niche and dominated that what is that, Conference US? Are they Conference USA?
Yep.
Okay. They changed conferences so much. It's tough to keep track of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, UTSA is home. They're gritty. They're going to run the football maybe. I don't know. I don't really know anything, but plus 235 or plus 230 seems like great value to me. I'll roll the dice on them for a unit.
And to clarify, they're in the American now, but they were in Conference USA.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Good clarification, Kyle, because we don't want people thinking we don't know ball. We're certified ball knowers here.
We don't want that at all. But yeah, we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, I'd be curious to know if Clemson plays. I thought maybe their last game they might play Miami, but I'm not sure. We'll look that up and get back to you. But all right, well, while we look at that up, I'm going to go to my team total here, and I bet you guys are going to think I'm going to rant and rave about Kent State. They are on a bye this week, so I cannot do that. Unfortunately, you better believe when I was doing my prep, I went and looked at Kent State, but they're on a bye this week, so I cannot. So I went with another really bad offensive team that's playing a really good defensive team. I'm going to take Air Force team total under 9.5 at a minus 125. Air Force has one of the worst offenses in college football. They're only scoring 14.3 points per game, and they're going up against one of the best defenses in the country in Army, who's only allowing 13.3 points per game. And we always talk about these military games. Possessions are a lot longer. The clock is ticking on quite a bit. The under is always happening quite often. So I don't think they score double digits here on a really talented Army team. So I'm going to take Air Force team total under 9.5 at a minus 125.
Love that.
And that is going to be the direction. I'll be back with Kent State next week, but they were on a bye this week, unfortunately. So, okay. Sounds good. VSC, looks like you need a full game total.
Yep, I'm going to be taking Ohio State, Penn State over the 46 points. I think this one is going to be real sweaty. I think we hit it by anywhere between 1 to 6 points. It's going to be ugly. But I'm not sure Ohio State's defense is any good. I'll be honest, the past couple weeks just haven't looked good. Oregon found some holes and we're able to move the ball. We weren't able to stop a thing against Nebraska, just got lucky with some bend no break defense. I think Penn State's offense is really good, especially if not sure who's going to play Aller, this backup, but this backup looked dang good. I'm also not sure Ohio State will know who to prepare for. Penn State on the other side, we know they can allow a lot of points. Look what they did with Bowling Green. I get it. It's a big game, but it's at 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Eastern. It's not some night game whiteout where no offense is going to be able to move the ball for the first half. I think, again, it's going to be sweaty, but I think we can get it done. So Ohio State, Penn State over the 46, minus 110.
Yeah, I like it. Got to throw the Ohio State pick out there, VSC.
Absolutely.
Yep, love it. Okay, action surprises with your full game total to round it out.
It did not get taken, so let's go Jacksonville State Liberty over the 63.5. My life is simplified. I just have one game to watch.
You said 63.5?
63.5.
All right.
The only thing that would be funnier is if you come back next week and you're like, yeah, I didn't watch the game. Got tied up doing some other stuff. Got a little busy. I guess everything hit and I went 5-0.
Isn't it tomorrow as well?
It is tomorrow. The show actually comes out on Thursday, so the people watching the show are going to see.
No.
Well, no,
they're going to find out. They're
either
going to laugh or not. Okay,
yep.
I thought the game was on Thursday. That's how much I know. Okay.
Yep, the game's tomorrow. So yeah,
Well,
the show drops on Thursday. So the show drops on Thursday. So we'll see if the people will know you're a sharp or know that maybe wasn't the best call. So
I'm like the weather guy. I got a 50-50 shot here. Here we go.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen, well, I'll go through our teams quick. We'll go through any honorable mentions, any plays that maybe didn't get mentioned that we like, and then we'll do upset and locks. DJ, Georgia, minus 16.5. Nebraska, first half team total over 10.5 at a minus 110. Arizona, UCF over 56. Clemson, team total over 38.5 at a plus 105. And UTSA money line at a plus 238. Kyle, Northwestern, Purdue, under 47. Boise State, first half, minus 13.5. Nebraska, minus 6.5. USC money line at a minus 135, and Air Force team total under 9.5 at a minus 125. VFC Vanderbilt plus 6.5. Navy team total over 31.5 at a plus 105. Duke first half plus 11.5 at a minus 110. Syracuse money line at a plus 160, and Ohio State Penn State over 46. And action Liberty minus 2. Liberty money line minus 125. Liberty first half minus a half at a minus 112. Liberty team total over 31.5 at a plus 110. And Jacksonville State Liberty over 63.5. So, gentlemen, any honorable mentions, any plays that maybe didn't get picked that you kind of like as well that you want to throw out there? DJ, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So a lot of them did get taken. Maybe one that didn't. Louisville Clemson over 62. The line opened up at 56, immediately jumped up to 62. So that may be a little strong, but I think that'll be a shootout game, honestly. Duke, Miami over 55. Maybe a little, that one seems a little too low. I like Pitt money line plus 245. I don't know, man. Pitt's got something cooking this season. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's in the water up there. But they got something cooking. SMU, almost lost to Duke, which Duke's a good team. Illinois plus 1 money line plus 124. That game's weird. I don't know how they're the underdog. They've looked like the far better team. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then I had UCLA under 7.5, minus 130 first half play would have been my last one.
Okay. Sounds good. I had a couple plays as well that I like. VFC took the money line. I also like Syracuse plus the 4 if they don't win. I think they can win by less than a field goal. So I do like that. And then my other game, Iowa State minus 13.5. I think they absolutely pound Texas Tech. So those are the only two otherwise I had written down. But VFC, any honorable mentions, any plays that didn't get taken? You are muted, sir.
And I think I might be lagging too. Dang. You guys got me now?
We got you.
Okay. There we go. I'm muted and lagging. Bad combination. I really like Iowa this weekend. I think minus 2.5. Big fan. I think that home field advantage is just going to be massive. I think it's going to be really loud in Kinnick. And I don't know. I just think Wisconsin is just okay. So I think Iowa gets it done. And that's it. That's the only honorable mention I have.
Yeah, sounds good. Action, besides Liberty, any other honorable mentions you got?
Well, every game on Tuesday, I think will go under in the first half. Since you guys are going to be watching this on Thursday, I do believe every game Tuesday will go under in the first half, since I think they've already all cashed. But I actually love Ohio State this week at Penn State. I am going to lay the 3.5 there, and I'm going to hammer that one. I just have a really good feeling we're going to get a double-digit win here by the Buckeyes. So I'm going to be willing to go an alternate spread there. I really, really like that play. For as much as I said I like Georgia going into Texas and winning, I like Ohio State going into Penn State and winning even more. I agree with what DJ said, even though it breaks my heart. The Gophers never beat Brett Bielema. We're 0-for. We never beat him at Wisconsin. We have yet to beat him at Illinois. It's like a double revenge for Minnesota. I get that. But I'll grab the 3 with the Fighting Illini there as a gambler. Michigan State plus 7.5. I keep saying this. Indiana has to have a letdown look ahead at some point. And now you might be going back to Rorick at quarterback, which in one way you're like, hey, you get your starter back, but you also have a little, you don't have as much continuity right now because you're switching quarterbacks week and week. So I like Michigan State, even though they're coming off the tough rivalry game against Michigan. I like Sparty there at home plus the 7.5 because after Michigan, now this is their Super Bowl, right? They have an opportunity to end the perfect season of Indiana. This is a second rival type of game for them as well. And the fact that, Indiana's been the kind of the doormat of this conference for so long, I think it would mean a lot to Michigan State to win that football game. So I think that's circled. And then unfortunately, DJ and I are on completely different wavelengths on this one. With a line of 7.5, I get all the love that's going to go to Pittsburgh, but I believe this is a game SMU wins by like 21 going away. So I like the Mustangs of SMU quite a bit minus the 7.5 in this football game. The luck factor for Pittsburgh, it's probably skewed now after McCord gave them so many touchdowns last week, but Pittsburgh is by far and away the luckiest team I've watched in college football this season. I think they get exposed at SMU because SMU can put some points on the board. We thought SMU could be an offensive juggernaut coming into the season. They got off to that slow start, but all of a sudden you look at the standings, they're a 7-1 football team. This is not a bad football team, folks, and I think they can run up the score against Pittsburgh. They end the Panthers' perfect season, so I'll lay the 7.5 there without a problem.
What are your thoughts on that Minnesota-Illinois? Like, why is Minnesota favored?
Well, the computer numbers say we should be now, right? Really? So I mean that's the reality of it. Is the computer numbers say that the Gophers are the better football team. I went back and looked at it, and I think if we were to play North Carolina again this time around, we'd be a 10-point favorite. Now North Carolina has underachieved since we played, but keep in mind Minnesota I think had the third longest streak in the nation without a quarterback throwing for 300 yards. Congrats to Iowa. I think you guys are still the leader for the most number of games without a 300-yard passer. But the Gophers finally got one last week against Maryland. The offense has done some good things. Winning 3 football games in a row in conference is kind of a good thing. Illinois has showed some chinks in the armor. I mean, they're big, that they won at Nebraska. But, once again, Nebraska brought them down on the computer numbers when they got crushed by Indiana so bad. So, the numbers say the Gophers should be favored, even though it's at Illinois. But like I said, for whatever reason, Bielema owns the Gophers. He knows how to game plan for this team, and Minnesota could have a little bit of a letdown. Minnesota was in a great situational spot last week against Maryland because they were coming off the bye. But now, all of a sudden, they got to turn around, play Illinois. Illinois a little mad and angry after what they've done here in the last couple of weeks. So I do like the Fighting Illini. I'm with you.
There we go.
DJ VFC, he threw out the stat. I'm curious if you guys know. Do you guys know who the last 300-yard passer at Iowa was?
I'm going to guess CJ.
It had to be, I know exactly what one it was. I think I know exactly which game it was.
Okay.
Was it Iowa when they beat Ohio State?
It had
Nate
to be.
Stanley. Yep. Nate Stanley.
That was the crazy game.
Okay. Here it is. Here's a fun little memory, actually. So, what was it now? Probably 7 years ago that game was. Yesterday was the Penn State-Ohio State game when Penn State was up by 15 in the fourth quarter, and JT Barrett had like the greatest fourth quarter I've ever seen from any quarterback ever. We had lost to Oklahoma earlier in the season. Congrats, Kyle. You just owned us that year. But we had lost to Oklahoma earlier in the season. We win that game against Penn State. In Columbus, we're all riding high. It's my freshman year of college. I'm like, we're going to make the playoffs again. Like, all is right in the world. We go to Iowa next week and just get mollywopped. And to make things completely full circle, my girlfriend, her dad and brother were at that game. I wouldn't meet her until 5 years later. So just insane. Butterfly effect, string theory, everything. But yeah, just the craziest of roller coasters for me to go. That Penn State game, the high I felt, down to the Iowa game the very next week. Just brutal.
I think Urban Meyer was the coach at the time, right?
Yeah, he was the worst special teams coach of all time.
Yeah, and his immediate comment was, "I will never play at Kinnick at night." He's like, "I'm never doing that again. We do not want to do that."
My buddy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then next year we got 2018 Purdue, and we all know how that one went too. So I will say Ryan Day, maybe he can't win the big game, but he doesn't lose the small ones. So
True. True.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say my one of my buddies actually was at the Iowa game and was storming the field when they won, and he actually took a video of him passing Urban Meyer while he was storming the field, and then he tripped. So you can see him chasing Urban Meyer, and then you just see the phone flying because he tripped because everyone was just running on the field. It was so funny.
That would be terrifying. Storming the field and falling down would be like, that's like Black Friday shopping, like falling down. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. You got to be like Derrick Henry in that when you're doing that. You got to be bulldozing through people, man.
Shout out to my boy Caleb Klein, the director of basketball operations at USC now.
Oh, really? He's up there. He went from Arkansas to USC. Damn.
Yep, he went with Muss.
Oh yeah, duh. That makes sense.
Yeah. So.
I didn't make that connection, but yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Yep. So that's where he's at. But yeah, anyways, enough of that. But yeah, so let's round out the show with upset of the week and lock of the week. Upset of the week again. If you're watching the show for the first time and you don't know, everybody on the panel has chosen an underdog of at least 7 points, and they have to win outright for you to get the victory. And yeah, we'll see how everyone does. But VFC, we'll start with you. What's your upset of the week?
I'm taking Stanford at NC State. It feels like Stanford already had their one random road win of the season against Syracuse actually earlier in the year, but it feels like this could be another one. This just feels like too many points. I think it's like 9 or something, and I don't know. I'm going Stanford. 9.5. That's what it is. So they're going to go into NC State and they're going to win by 3. There it is.
I had that one written down too, VFC. I like that one a lot. I did not go with that one though. I'm going to go to the SEC. I'm going to take Arkansas over Ole Miss.
It's a good one.
I think Arkansas is really, really good. I like Taylor Green, and Ole Miss is due for a really bad game here. And I think that anything in the SEC can happen. Any of those teams, if you're not in that the upper tier, anything can happen. And I think they can win that one. So I'm going to take Arkansas over Ole Miss. Action, what do you got for your upset of the week?
I'm with you. I had Arkansas as well, so I'm just going to stick with that. I really like that handicap there.
Very good then. All right, and DJ, your upset of the week.
I'm just going to stick with UTSA plus 230. Not going to lie, Kyle, I asked you what we're going to talk about, and this was not on the text list. As soon as you said it, I remembered that's what we do. So partially on me, but that's partially on you. Luckily, I'm quick-witted, and I know what I got to do. UTSA plus 230, plus 7.5 on the spread.
DJ, you are the only person on this panel that was on the show every single season since its inception. You know how the show works. This has been on the show since season 1. You know that we do this contest. We've changed things up in the show, but upset and lock we've done every single year since its inception.
I should have known that, but I have to store a lot of data in this brain, and in order to store data, you got to delete data. So I regularly forget people's names. I forget dates. I forget a lot of things, honestly. So yeah, it's just some things got to get deleted. That must have slipped the cracks. I must have forgot about that part. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh crap, yeah, we always do that. So again, partially on me, partially on you, because I did ask, what are we doing? How does this work?
I just figured that was a given, but that's on me, I guess.
Yeah, you can't take responsibility. Do not assume anything with me if you've learned one thing.
I'll take responsibility.
Okay, well, shared responsibility. But
sure. Yep, that's fair. That's fair.
All right.
This conversation is going to circle over in a gambling feud. I can feel it.
Oh, it will. Yep, it will. We're recording that after this, so this is going to carry over, I'm sure. But all right, well, let's round to the show with lock of the week. Lock of the week, again, very simple. If your lock hits, you get a win. If it doesn't, you get a loss. It's as easy as that. So let's go through our locks of the week. I'll start, and I'm going to kind of tail and away a play that BFC made, but I'm just going to go the spread of it. I'm going to take Navy minus 11.5. I think they absolutely pound Rice. I mean, like we talked about earlier, it was never Navy against Notre Dame. Notre Dame was just dominating the whole time. I think they're due for a huge bounce back game, a huge revenge game. Rice is really bad this year. I think they can win by 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to take Navy minus 11.5 against Rice. And that's going to be my lock of the week. DJ, we'll go to you with your lock of the week.
I'm gonna flip it up. I'm gonna go with my second round pick instead of my first round pick. I'm gonna go Nebraska first half over 10.5 points. At home, go Big Red. It's gonna be, the fans are gonna be juiced up. I just think 10.5 is so low. I don't think UCLA's defense is built for that. The more I look at this line, the more I think it's crazy. Like I'm missing something. So we're gonna roll with that.
Okay. Sounds good. I love it. Action, we'll go to you with your lock of the week.
It is not going to be Liberty. It is going to be the Ohio State minus the 3.5 at Penn State.
Sharp.
Look at that. VFC. Huge camaraderie. That's not like Action. Action's usually against the panel. He's been a real camaraderie this year. I don't know what's going on.
Well, no. I'm trying to take a heel or contrarian viewpoint on the Heisman to rattle the cages since you guys went on your 20-minute speech about Boise State like 2 weeks ago. I was like, I'm going to be anti-Boise State running back here on this show. So I try to stay true to form a little bit.
Okay, that's fair.
It's just I love Ohio State this week. I just love them.
All right, sounds good. And VFC rounded out your lock of the week.
Yep, I'm going one that I did not have on my card as well. I'm going South Carolina plus 2.5 against Texas A&M. I think they can easily win this game outright. I think we saw this with South Carolina against Bama a few weeks ago. They're not bad. They're not bad at all. They're actually dang good. A&M having to go away from home. This is a game that South Carolina is going to be absolutely fired up for, and I think they could win this game. But if you're giving me 2.5, I'll take 2.5.
That's another one of them rat lines, you know?
It is.
A&M minus 2.5 after they just beat LSU. You're like, you look at it.
This
looks like free money, right? Free money.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when you know. That is when you know. Whenever you see that, that is immediately.
I see a stack of those every Saturday at my losing tickets that I'm ripping up.
The huge letdown spot. This would be such a massive win for South Carolina. Coming off a bye, too. That's the other thing.
So they've had a couple weeks to prepare, so I like that. All right, gents. Well, hey, sounds good. DJ, thanks for hopping on as always. You know, you're always welcome to come on the show. I know you're a busy man, but anytime you want to talk some college football, you're always welcome to come back on.
Yep. Want to know in trivia. Just remember that, people. Want to know.
It sounds like your college football contest stat line.
Pretty good. I mean, I got screwed 4 times. I don't even want. I might have to rant on this on Game Week Feud. That wasn't what I was going to rant about, but I got screwed multiple times in this contest.
Yeah, I think you should.
Florida State has one win on the season, and I nailed it. Whatever.
Yeah. I might have the receipts that say you should text Florida State money line as the game is kicking off and see what happens.
Well, so the funny thing is, I was hanging out with a group of guys, you know, and I set an alarm, and an alarm went off. And my buddies looked at me like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm doing a bit right now. It's kind of a long con. Like, don't really have time to explain what I'm doing, but just trust me, it's funny. And then it was right before kickoff is when I set the alarm. So then I quickly texted in the bet. And so, yeah, it was a good bit.
That was awesome.
That's funny. Yeah. And then VFC, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Best of luck to your Buckeyes against Penn State and the next week as well. Look forward to that. Action, we'll see you next week. You and I will be on to talk a little college football playoff rankings. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun to actually be able to talk about that. So looking forward to that. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of the Fanatics College Football Betting Podcast. And we will see you guys next week.